Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in today's video, we're going to be doing, a little analysis and comparison between the 2019 Ravens, and this year's Ravens, as well as getting into the recent news about our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator positions and how they've been getting a lot of interest from some other teams, some other needy teams. So, um, start off this video, we're just going to talk about, what's been going on with, Mike McDonald and Todd Monken.
Mhm.
And I believe they've been getting some interest from the Commanders, the Chargers, the
I'm looking
Panthers.
it up now to see what all the teams are.
Yeah, I remember seeing a post just a couple minutes ago. It was the Commanders, Chargers, Panthers. I believe it was Raiders as well, and Patriots. Pretty sure it was those
Yeah.
teams. But just to start off, I feel like, my opinion is I really am and the Falcons too.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to feel like, unfortunately, Mike McDonald might be gone.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of teams that are very interested in him. And it's unfortunate because his defense has been amazing so far with us, and he's a great coach, he's a great leader, but he's just getting way too much interest. I mean, I'm pretty sure one of these teams is going to give him a bag that he just can't resist, and he deserves it. I remember, we kind of had a debate, towards the beginning of the season, if he could be a good head coach or not. And, you know, now that some time has passed and, I've seen how he interacts with the players, even with the fans, I've seen that he definitely is a great leader and a leader of men. I mean, you have to be in order to be a leader of that ferocious defense we have this year. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the Falcons or the Chargers or the Commanders. I really wouldn't be surprised, especially the Commanders. It seemed like they're like they're just doing the cleanup crew of the whole staff, and they got a new owner. So, I wouldn't be surprised of those three teams. But when it comes to Todd Monken, for me, it's kind of tricky because this is his first season here. So I don't just expect him to just leave automatically with one season as the offensive coordinator under his belt. I feel like, maybe he'll try to, establish. I mean, if we're just talking about, Todd Monken's personal goals, I feel like he should maybe try to establish more of a solid
Resume.
resume here. Yeah,
Mhm.
solid resume here in Baltimore, with the offense, what I mean, compared to Mike McDonald. Um, he's been here for about 2 seasons. So he's got a little bit more of a pedigree, a resume built here. But that's just my opinion. I believe that, Mike McDonald won't be here after this year. So what do you think?
I think unless he's promised a future position for head coach of this team, then he probably won't be here. They had all those years where well, I didn't know about this until a few days ago, but apparently, EDC was getting a whole bunch of calls, while Ozzy was still here, like for their GM position, I assume. And he was already promised the position, I believe by Ozzy in a few years in advance, at least a year in advance. I've heard I don't exactly know the specifics behind that, but unless there's something like that in place for, Mike McDonald, I don't see him staying. Um, and it's kind of unfortunate because he's probably the best defensive coordinator we've had since like maybe like Pagano, because I mean we've had some decent defensive coordinators. Like Wink was all right, but he wouldn't change. Like there was no adjustments with him. It was do what he wants to do, and that was it. And that's kind of the problem. That's what kind of was holding us back for years to come, or years to come from years past, is we had coordinators that kind of stuck to the script and never really did anything to adjust it, and they just kept pushing it to see if it would work. And sometimes it just wouldn't, or you didn't have the personnel to do it. So, I just think that, the good thing about Monken and McDonald is that they both offer adjustments even before halftime. And it don't even got to be during halftime. It could be, during the next drive, whatever, or we see some busted coverage in the secondary, or we see that there's a weakness on those offensive linemen, and we go ahead and take advantage of that, and let Lamar have control of the offense. That's thanks to Monken. And then I think, McDonald, kind of has his lead on the defense and Roquan. I just think that, like I said, if he's not promised a head coaching position this year, or at least in the next few years for by the Ravens, then he's not going to be here next year. And unless like everything plays out right, where maybe we win the Super Bowl, maybe Harbaugh retires, Mike, but like, are they going to interview both McDonald and Monken for the head coaching position? Like, do the Ravens feel that does Monken even feel like he's head coach worthy? I think that he's coached up a pretty good resume between from Georgia to here. He's also had some success. Maybe not a lot of success. But that's kind of the product of what the organizations were. Between the Buccaneers and the Browns. You're really not going to have a lot of success there. And it took Tom Brady to come down there to really bring winning football back to Tampa. Because I mean James brought it for maybe like 1 year, I think, but they even missed the playoffs. And I mean Baker's brought it back, but that's the resemblance of what the Tom Brady roster was. So not saying Baker's like a system QB or whatnot, but it's just he's been dealt a pretty good hand, in what the team was offensively at least, and they still only went 9-8. So I just think that and the Browns have never really done much, besides the 2 years they made the playoffs, which is one of them this year. So, um, I don't know. I don't know about Monken. I think that he needs to build more of an NFL resume to be able to, like how you were saying earlier, he needs to build more of an NFL resume to be able to be considered for a head coach. But I mean, maybe there's enough resume enough for some teams who are desperate for a head coach, like maybe like the Commanders or the Falcons or whatnot. Because I mean, you're going to probably have an offensive-minded head coach. Imagine what he could do with the Falcons, offense. If they get a good quarterback in this draft or they trade for one or whatever. So, I mean, I don't see Monken leaving unless it's for the right situation. And I see maybe McDonald probably going unless he's not promised the head coach position here, in Baltimore.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, you said that you believe McDonald's been one of the best defensive coordinators we have since Chuck Pagano, and I believe so too. And
Hmm.
we've had a lot of good defensive coordinators like Marvin Lewis, Rex
Yeah.
Ryan had that 2006 Ravens defense that was insane. So it's definitely going to be a big shoe to fill. If he leaves and whoever replaces him, and not to mention Anthony Weaver as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's getting some. Yep.
could be gone. He can be gone too. And I guess like in a perfect world, if McDonald was to go, Anthony Weaver would probably take over that defensive coordinator position. Maybe want to keep it in house, but you know that's one thing that kind of makes me a little bit hopeful is the Ravens do have a good track record of having good defensive coordinators, to replace previous ones.
Yeah.
Um, but hopefully our luck doesn't run out with that. But that does,
Right.
yeah,
Go
that
ahead.
is
Sorry.
something
Sorry.
that kind of gives me a little bit hope.
Yeah, I mean, and then we got to remember, like, I say that Pagano was one of the best defensive coordinators the Ravens have ever had. We haven't had many. We're not like a historic franchise. I mean, we could be on the way to being there if we win another ring this year. We continue to have success with Lamar, but we're still kind of a young franchise. And but I mean, let's not forget Pagano was only here 1 year, and for me and you to sing his praises, I mean, me and you both were like, what? Like we were both very young, but we remember how good that defense was. It stood out to us that much as young kids that we remembered who he was and remembered how great he was. I mean, he had a great, we had great talent on that team. We had what Suggs, Johnson, Nada, Lewis, Reed. I
Corey
can't remember
Redding,
who Corey Redding, correct? I can't remember um who our DBs were. Do you remember who our DBs were those years? 2011.
we had Reed, we had Tom
Yeah.
Zabowski,
Oh,
we had
Pollard. I forgot Pollard.
Mark Pollard, Haruki Nakamura, we had Chris Carr, we had
Hmm.
what's that guy's name?
We didn't have Corey Williams then, did we?
No, we didn't
Kerry
have Corey.
Williams. Kerry Williams. I think it was his
Kerry
name.
Williams. That was
Yeah.
Ladarius Webb.
Darius, what? How can we forget about him?
You
He was
know,
really great before his knee injury.
he was locking wide receivers up. I can't even lie. He
Yeah.
was
So that we had a nasty, front seven, and then we had, nasty, linebackers. I believe who was next to Ray Lewis? Or was it McPhee that year? Was it
was it Donnell Ellerby?
Ellerby? Yeah, I think it might have been Ellerby. But
McLean. There was a one
oh
linebacker named
yeah, I remember using
Neil
McLean on
McLean.
Madden.
Neil
McLean, yeah,
McLean.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember using McLean on Madden a lot back in Madden. I want to say it's 12. So
Yeah.
I think he may have been linebacker too for us. But
And
obviously you had Ray Lewis. So
and then we have Brendan Iron Badejo, but he was more special teams. So yeah.
yeah. So and John loves his special teams players. So
Yeah.
yeah. obviously you can see we've been Ravens fans for a very, very long time, So that's kind of like our take on how we feel certain coaching situation is going to be. And I really don't want to be making videos about possible defensive coordinators we can hire this offseason. So
Yeah,
I really don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. But yeah, let's just hope that in a perfect world we win the Super Bowl. We're able to keep both Monken and McDonald at least for one more year, and
Mm.
we'll see what happens. But moving on, let's get into what we have been thinking about, the last 2 weeks, since the kind of playoff race really heated up. 2019 Ravens versus 2023 Ravens. Let's look at the rosters, let's look at the stats, and let's just see, let's give us a little bit more confidence going into Texans or Browns. So, let's get into, the stats.
Right. Should be shared now. This is the 2019 team. Obviously, you see this is Lamar's MVP season.
Hmm.
Trying to move stuff out of the way so I can easily move things. But obviously, you can see we weren't a very pass heavy team. Back then, under Greg Roman's offense, you weren't going to be throwing the ball 500, 600 times. Lamar with only 401 attempts. Pretty good completion percentage with the 66.1. Barely got over that 3,000 yard mark. But his career high at 36 touchdowns. Only sacked 23 times, which is crazy. That's impressive.
Yeah.
But how is Roger Greffin sacked that much in just a few starts? Only on the one start actually. But anyways, you know, um, Lamar was this is truly his dual threat quarterback year. I mean, it's probably his best quarterback rating yet, 113.3. And then even back then, even when we had the 1,000 yard rusher, Lamar was our main guy, running the football, obviously with 1,206 yards. Back then, Mark Ingram, I think maybe the running back room maybe been outside of the injuries that we have this season. I mean, Mark Ingram alone really, this version of Mark Ingram really, drove that team up pretty high, averaged 5 yards per carry. Look at Anthony Levine, 31 yards per carry. But we should have had him back there. No, but he's probably like 50 years old at this point, at that point. But obviously, Justice Hill, I believe, was a rookie that season, and Gus Edwards was in his second year. I mean, you could just see how impressive Gus Edwards was this year. Only on 133 carries, 711 yards. I mean, he was just guaranteed. You know, not I wouldn't say guaranteed. Obviously, not guaranteed first down with only the 5.3 yards per carry, but he was guaranteed. It felt like 8, 9 yards sometimes.
Oh yeah.
There
Oh
were
yeah.
certain games where it felt like he just couldn't be stopped, and just so amazing. And this is where it really gets when it comes to comparisons between the 2019 team and the 2013 team, 2013, god, not the 2013 team, the 2023 team. This is where it starts getting a little bit interesting, because obviously you can see our leading receiver, Mark Andrews, very tight and heavy offense, with Greg Roman. Lamar found his safety blanket in Mark Andrews in year one, and really built that chemistry, or continue to build that chemistry in year two. Mark Andrews with 64 receptions, 852 yards, which you're gonna notice. You're gonna notice the similarities in, you know, receiving yards, between the rate for between this team and the 2023 team. But we're gonna talk about, how much we feel skill wise, because I mean Marquise Brown in his rookie season, 46, receptions and 71 targets, 584 yards. He wasn't. Honestly, looking at these stats, compared to what Zay has done, this season, like this is kind of not really impressive. Now, to be fair, he did miss 3 games this season, but I don't know. I can't. I guess he showed certain flashes, especially in the playoffs. You think he had like a career game, and and then he started off the year with like those 2 crazy touchdowns in his first 2 catches or whatever. So I guess we showed promise there. But like 100 and something of his yards came in that one game. He only had like 400 and something yards. Outside of that one game. So I mean, do you remember back in 2019? Like, was there like this big hype like around Marquise Brown's possible sophomore year breakout? Like, how did you feel about Marquise Brown at the time?
Well, in 2019, there was a little bit of hype around Marquise Brown. I remember, people were saying, "Oh, that's Antonio Brown's cousin."
Yeah.
He's been working with Antonio Brown a lot. that's only good things because Antonio Brown was on a Hall of Fame trajectory before all of that BS. But
Mm,
I was very hyped for Marquise Brown. I did think he was a little bit undersized compared to what we
yeah,
could have
yeah.
gotten at wide receiver. But I was hyped for him. He was speedy. I believed in his hand ability, his hand-eye coordination ability. I'm sorry. I
Hmm.
believed in his skills and I was excited for him. Even in his sophomore year here, which he kind of broke out, I was excited for him as well. So um, that's how I felt about him. And honestly, kind of feel bad because he was very vocal about Greg Roman, his
Hmm.
the receivers. And I remember even seeing a video of him on another I'm not sure if they were a Ravens fan, YouTube channel or just a basic, NFL channel, but he talked about how he was kind of frustrated with, and he even said it was bad. The Greg Roman offense when it came to receivers, he even said it was bad when it came to, that. So I kind of
Hmm.
felt bad that he wasn't in an offense that could really, accommodate for his skills. But I was definitely hyped for him, I will say.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy because when you look at his stats, you look at what Zay has been able, like you said, what Zay has been able to
Mhm.
do in just his rookie season. I mean, it's incredible. And
Yeah.
even still while having OBJ there and Mark there for about, even though Mark is injured, I mean, still what he's been able to do with OBJ and Mark, kind of taking targets from him, it's been amazing. And just looking at
Yeah.
his supporting cast, Willie Snead, Seth Roberts, Miles Boykin, Chris Moore, and Jaleel Scott. Who even Jaleel Scott? Who even is that? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's just crazy that they really gave Lamar this core to go out there and win a Super Bowl with.
And they won 14 games somehow. And that was a tribute to what Lamar like accounted for like 4,000 something yards, like, and what, let me think, like 30 something, no, 40 something touchdowns,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just 43, I believe. So, I mean, Lamar definitely carried this terrible,
yeah.
not
And
terrible, I'm not gonna say terrible offense, but just, I mean, like you said, Willie Snead, Seth Roberts, Miles Boykin, Chris Moore, and Jaleel Scott. I mean, like, come on, man.
it's crazy because I've seen wide receivers alone get close to Willie Snead's total season yardage. I seen him. I seen some wide receivers in one game get close to
Yeah.
his season yardage. Like
Yep. Not
I don't.
not good. Not good. Obviously, like I said, we didn't throw the ball that much this year, but I mean, look at this right here. This is crazy. 271 yards, but only 68 yak yards. Like that's just kind of funny to me. That's kind of funny. I don't know why that's funny. But yeah, just not good. Not good at all. I I don't even think Mahomes can make this work. Like maybe with Marquise Brown, maybe with Andrews, but like if one of them were down or both of them were down, and you had to tell him to throw to Hayden Hurst, Willie Snead, Seth Roberts, could he do it? You and I don't think he
Yeah,
could. At least the stat line wouldn't look great if he could do it. So that's not taking anything away from Mahomes. He's a fantastic quarterback, probably the best in the league. But we've seen the dramatic drop off when it comes to having bad weapons on his team. And I don't necessarily feel bad just for the fact that everyone kind of treated Lamar like crap when his weapons let him down in the biggest moments. So,
yeah,
but that's not neither here nor
yeah.
there.
I mean,
And go
and
ahead.
then I just want to say, I mean, and then even looking at the defense,
Yeah,
we had a lot of older guys on here.
yeah,
Like Chuck Clark, Earl Thomas was kind of getting up there. Brandon Carr was definitely up.
yeah. Oh
I
my
remember
God.
you hated Carr. You hated Carr. You did not want to see him
Yeah,
out there on the
I
field.
he was cooked a lot of times.
Yeah,
He was cooked a lot. I mean, like there's just a lot of makeshift pieces here, like
yeah,
like
yeah.
like 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 Patrick. I would call him what we call Peanut.
Yeah,
Like you said, Brandon Carr old, Josh Bynes old, Marcus Peters lazy, LJ Ford old. I mean, Brandon Williams getting up there in age. Rest in peace to Jalen Ferguson. He never really got to show his full potential with the Ravens. I think that he would have been fantastic in Mike McDonald's defense.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
He would
he was a good speed rusher for this team. So rest in peace to Jalen Ferguson.
have.
But to move on, I mean Jimmy Smith, he was old too.
Oh,
I think no, this wasn't his last year. I think Jimmy Smith last year was 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But let me think. Tyus Bowser, still young, still raw, but still had 5 sacks, I think it says. Yep. Tony Jefferson got injured, so I didn't really get to see much of him. Pernell McPhee was playing for us in the Super Bowl in 2020, 2012. And then we even got Patrick Card's, ass out there, so, just not a good. Now I'm not saying it's not a bad defense, and then Chuck Clark, he was always there, but never made the play. He was like a
Yeah,
older Brandon Stevens, but the thing about Brandon Stevens is he actually developed.
yeah,
It felt like Chuck Clark always stayed the same, so, I mean, our leading tackler has 73 tackles, 73. And you're going to see the drastic difference tackles wise when it comes to 2023's team. Um,
yeah,
and then what our sack leader may have been Judon, I believe. Yeah, 9.5, but like just not a lot of pressure.
yeah,
Our three guys, you know, um, Patrick, McPhee, Bowser. Bowser was an off-ball linebacker, so he played mostly in coverage. And Peanut and McPhee were also middle linebackers as well. And LJ Ford up there and Earl Thomas. So just not a lot of pressure generated. Not a lot of pressure generated. And it just really was unfortunate because, I still think we maybe need an edge rusher, but we've gotten a lot of help from Jadeveon Clowney and Calvin Noy away and all that. So, and then now we got interior pressure with Justin Metabike. So, there's so much makeshift pieces here that make this team confusing because you look at this team and you think, oh, well, this team is, well, I don't know why it says 13-4 because we weren't 13-4. I guess that's this year's record, but we finished the year 14-2, obviously with the loss, go 14-3, but it's just, I can't look at this team and understand how we won 14 games. And then we blew out a lot of the teams. We didn't win by like this much or this much. We blew out a lot of these teams. So, I mean, what do you think went right? Because I have my theory. I guess I'll share it real quick. Honestly, I just think that this offense worked so well because nobody knew what to expect from Lamar. Like, he became a better passer this year. He truly became the dual threat that he has become now, started really here. You know, the thing about this is it's crazy that the first year Greg Roman, the offense peaked at its highest. And that kind of showed, that with Greg Roman's track record, before we even had this channel, me and you used to go over all the time how Greg Roman was such a standstill offensive coordinator. He didn't change. He didn't do anything to make anything different. He stayed the same. And that's what the Ravens didn't need. I'm sorry. They wasted those years they had Greg Roman, under as play caller. You know, what they should have done after this year is got weapons. And I mean, obviously, looking at it back then, you can't change Greg Roman. He won, I believe, like, coordinator of the year, or whatever that award's called. Lamar had an MVP season, our first ever MVP in Ravens history. You just can't change Greg Roman. But changing him after 2021 would have been huge. Changing him after 2021 would have been huge for the fact that we would have had a new offensive coordinator starting in 2022, along with Mike McDonald. We should have cleaned house and started
yeah.
over back in 2022. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Got, Lamar some weapons. Obviously OBJ was a free agent. I don't think he was ready then, but I think that we should have done more to help Lamar starting 2022. Give him the weapons, give him the skill sets, and give him a new offensive coordinator to continue to move on, with his development. But I mean, anyway, what do you think went right about this team? As you see, like our leaders outside of Lamar, I mean, only Andrew 52 yards, 73 total tackles, and only 3 interceptions. We didn't seem to cause a lot of picks. You know, uh, I was asking you.
Um, yeah, kind of lags, but I feel like we obviously we got hot. With the bye week came at a perfect time. After we kind of gained some momentum from that Seahawks game, we went into that game and beat the Patriots. I felt like kind of similar to what you said. We brought forth the type of offense that a lot of defenses didn't know what to expect from us, and we were just pounding the ball down people. We were just pounding the running game, pounding the ball down people's throats. They just couldn't stop it no matter what. I feel like Greg Roman, when it came to the running game, he was so creative. He brought a lot of different concepts that, it just made it hard for defenses to understand and stop. And it just made big, wide gaping holes for the running backs to just run through and just made you wonder, like, wow, how did this even happen? How does the NFL defense even allow this to happen. And then obviously it allowed for Lamar, to strengthen his abilities as a running quarterback, while also kind of weakening his abilities when it comes to passing. I just feel like, he just got the running game, and combined with Lamar's ability himself to run. I just feel like that was just very confusing for NFL defenses. And I feel like, were able to, keep the ball for a long time and score, quickly and in bunches. And, the defense didn't really have to do much, but just, keep the lead, keep everything in front of them and not let it get too close. And they did that. I mean, it's hard for a team, to come back in the game and, do what they're used to doing when you're down by 21
Hmm.
and it's going to like the third quarter. They can't run the ball like how they want to. They can't set up the play action like how they want to. It's just pass, pass, pass. That leads for sacks, possibly leads for fumbles and, interceptions too. But we didn't, as you see, we didn't get a lot in 2019. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's what happened. Lamar and Greg Roman just brought forth a creative running attack that was different from what defenses were used to.
Yep. And they really built off a skill set as a runner, not a passer. And
Yeah.
that was kind of an issue, you know. And to kind of back off to what you were saying, I mean, like we threw it the ball 59 times, I believe, in the divisional playoff game. Like we had done that all year. And I can imagine Mike Vrabel and company sitting in like the film room, whatever. Like you stop their running game, do everything you can to stop their running game because he's not making plays with those receivers. He's just not. And
I mean,
it's
well,
so
the thing is the running game was working in that game. I mean, Gus Edwards was getting good yards per carry, but we just got away from it. And that was the thing. That was the thing with this Greg Roman offense. When you're down, we were so used to beating teams and trying to and making the other team trying to catch up to us. You know what I'm saying? When we were behind, we didn't stick to what we were good at. We didn't stick to running the ball. We didn't stick to just playing our brand of football. We tried to be like the other team. We tried to pass. You get what I'm saying? It's like
yeah,
you can't strengthen one side of Lamar's skill set and then when you're down, just expect him to be like, all pro Peyton Manning and all pro Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And that was another problem.
Yep.
We were scared to play our own brand of football when we were down 10 plus points.
Yep. And I mean, this kind of proves it here. I mean, all these stat lines. I mean, Gus Edwards. I don't know why they didn't give him the rock more. You know, that, that game is really irritating to think about. But to kind of transition to something a little bit more positive, the differences that this team provides is, I mean, obviously you've seen Lamar throwing it, I believe, 50 times more and completed it a little bit better at 67, but he's got to closer to that 4,000 yard mark now as a passer, but this is where stuff makes a difference. Our two leading receivers, in fact, 4 out of the 6, I believe, are receivers. 4 out of the 6 are receivers, with our rookie first round draft receiver, Zay Flowers, having 77 receptions and 858 yards. Now, the drop off is a little bit steep, but Odell Beckham, didn't play every single game. Mark Andrews, he was probably primed for maybe 1,000 yard year or at least 800 yards, So, I mean, and then Isaiah Likely up there too, with Aguilar and Bateman. It's such a consistent level of talent there now. There is like you don't see Seth Roberts up here. You don't see Willie Snead. No offense to them, but they stunk. Like this doesn't stink right here. This right here, this is what we've wanted to see in Lamar's career, with a receiver getting to the 1,000 yard mark legitimately. Not some makeshift, oh, he had a great first half and then slowed down, but barely got over that 1,000 yard mark. No, this is a guy, Zay Flowers, play all games. If he played every single game and got the fair target share, he could get 1,000 yards every year, to be honest. And he has that yak ability to be able to get that. Almost half of his yards are yak yards, 391 yards. So he's just an impressive figure. And now defensively, what did we have? We have 4 guys, sorry, now with more tackles than our leading tackler that year at 73. You see 100, 158, 133, 81, and 74. And then our leading sack getter, how much was it? Back it was like what? Matt Judon 9.5. Now we got 13, 9.5, 9. So now we get consistent pressure. And these are my older guys. Away hasn't played all year, but he has the 5 sacks. Interceptions wise, we're causing more turnovers. Our leading interception getter was 3, Marcus Peters. Now it's 7. Now it's 4. We got 2 guys, and both are safeties. Got 2 ball hawking safety. Well, I don't want to call Kyle Hamilton ball hawking, but he's very good. Stevens with 2. We got Roquan in there with that crazy one-handed pick. So and if you look at the defense, there's just way more talent now. You didn't have Kyle Hamilton. Brandon Stevens wasn't here yet and wasn't developed. Roquan wasn't here. Patrick Queen wasn't here. Marcus Williams wasn't here. I mean, Away wasn't here yet. Matabike, I don't think was here yet either. So you just look through it and see the talent. Like what do you think? Like if there's this doesn't feel like a makeshift team anymore. Like band-aids here, band-aids there. LJ Ford, Josh Bynes, not McPhee. Yeah, maybe McPhee, I think. He they were all band-aids for other players not being good or getting hurt.
Yeah, and let's also point out Kyle Van Noy in 2019, he was on that historic Patriots defense.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing that pedigree to the Ravens defense this year, that's also a lot. That's also adding even more experience onto it and more talent. So it's just when you really look at the stats in the roster, it's really night and day. It really is. And just seeing the young talent that we have, and it's like they're young and they're good at the same time. They barely make
Yeah.
rookie mistakes. They've already kind of been through that embarrassment, welcome to the NFL moment, and they've gotten
Mm-hmm.
better from it. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? And you know, the guys that we brought in, the Roquans, the Patrick Queen, they actually are leaders of the defense.
Yeah.
They actually are outspoken.
Yep.
They actually inspire the locker room. I feel like the locker room, in 2019, let's be honest, I feel like they kind of got a little cocky.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of got a little cocky. There was leaders in there. MP was a leader. I'll say maybe Calais Campbell. No, we didn't have Calais Campbell in 2019. Uh
You can't
honestly,
think of one.
honestly, only MP comes to mind when it comes to thinking of a leader of
Right. Earl
2019.
Thomas, unless his
I don't
brother was in the room.
but I'm just saying, when it comes to youth, talent, leadership, defense is just incredible this year. And
Yeah.
Mike McDonald.
Yep, exactly. There's just a different mindset to this team. There's something about their psyche that's different.
Yeah.
2019, it was fun and games. 2023 is getting business done. That's what it is. There's a different mentality. It was fun, now it's business, and now it's winning time. And that's why I think that the Ravens can make the Super Bowl run. There's a lot of similarities to the 2019 team, but there's differences, and they're good differences, and it's the differences we wanted to see. I'm bet you, me and you over the years have talked. We wanted the 2019 team to do this. We wish the 2019 team had this. But now this is the perfect 2019 team. This is like its sequel, but a better one.
Yeah.
This is part two. Like if this was movies, 2019 was Infinity War, 2023 is Endgame, where we win at the end. So, a little bit of a nerd reference there, but it's just there's different talent. There's younger talent as well. We're not old. The oldest players we have on defense, I believe, are probably like Marlowe, Van Noy, and Clowney. But this team is young. This team is hungry. This team has a different mentality, and they're ready for the playoffs this year. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, honestly, I feel like if Mark was there, Lamar would have 4,000 passing yards. I feel like he would
Yeah.
just be there at 4,000. You
Yeah.
know, like we said, I am excited. I'm really excited for next weekend going to the
Yeah.
bank. I want to see us in the playoffs. I want to see what this team with this mindset that we're talking about win a ball game because we can.
Yep.
I'm tired of people saying they don't we're frauds and all this.
Yeah.
Look, that talk is done.
Yeah. Like all the fluke interceptions, and then Xavier and Howard got hurt. It's just this is time to show that you mean business. If we truly mean business, if we're all about that talk, if we're all about the mentality that we have, then this is the perfect place to show it.
Yeah,
Why,
and
where else to show it?
right, and we're kind of running out of time here, but I just want to say, seeing Lamar's mindset as well.
Hmm.
In 2019, we had a lot of spotlight on us. We had Drake. Al Pacino, everybody talking about us, all the spotlight. Everybody wanted to be a Baltimore fan out of nowhere. And now, we're toned down. The
Hmm.
spotlight's back on us again, but we're
Hmm.
focused. We're not letting all
Hmm.
the outside noise get to us. And I can see it in Lamar's eyes. I can see it in his demeanor. I can see it when he talks to the press. He's
Hmm.
locked in. So,
Yep,
I believe
absolutely.
that's all we got in this video for you guys. Hopefully it pumps you up and gets you inspired. As much as we are for this team and their playoff run this year. Is there anything else you got to add?
Just want to see the Super Bowl run this year.
He just wants to see that Super
I
Bowl
want to
run.
see, I want to see the Super Bowl run. I
He
just,
wants to see that
like,
run.
I totally agree with you said. Like this, the way Lamar looks is a man on a mission, and that's the most dangerous man. You know, to be
Hell yeah.
honest, is the man on a mission.
Yeah, everybody on that team's on a mission, but that's all
Yeah.
we got for you guys tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys are ready for a deep playoff run, um, make sure you subscribe to our social medias, our Instagram, our TikTok, our Twitter. Make sure you guys also check out our second channel, Casual Cinema, and we're Birds of Prey, and we're out.
All right.